Let's talk about monsters. This Ryan Murphy series. So it's a lot. So I'm gonna lump it all in before we get to Ryan Murphy's comment. So there is a trial expert that is speaking out and saying that the incest stuff storyline that's in the monster series is a fantasy. But first things first, the brothers actually have been going around doing interviews as of late. They recently appeared, they a shout out to Variety from this story. So they were basically saying that Lyle and Eric have spoken out, for the first time in decades, in the official trailer for the Menendez brothers, a new documentary that is about to come out in October on Netflix. So while people are feeling the ways that they're feeling about Ryan Murphy and his depiction of what had happened, there is a documentary that's coming out on Netflix in October. I'm going to watch that and I'm going to compare notes because there have been a lot of people. Eric Menendez recently came out and said that a lot of the stuff in Ryan Murphy's series based on their life is inaccurate. We've had Lyle's wife came out and said that stuff is not true. I don't know how she coming out being a spokesperson when she wasn't there. She wasn't even married to the man at the time when the crimes was committed. So I don't know how she coming out saying whatever she's saying. She should just mind her business and kept it moving. Continue to be a pen pal to your man. Like I don't know why she out here just asserting herself in something that ain't got nothing to do with her. Now, if people want to speak, Lyle and Eric can speak or people who were there doing the trial at the time. They should be coming out saying what they need to say in regards of based on what they've seen. And we'll get into what Ryan Murphy had to say in a second because Ryan Murphy feels like, well, how they coming out saying that stuff is inaccurate when in fact they didn't even see the show. Why the hell I need to watch a series when I was there? I'm the one, me and my brother both took turns blowing our parents' body parts off with shotguns. So I think I know what happened because I was there when it happened. But Ryan Murphy gonna sit up here and tell me, well, how you gonna sit up in here and make a comment when you ain't see the show? So I gotta sit back and watch this sick, twisted stuff of you spilling tea about my personal life to know if it's true or not. You weren't there, sir. So how you gonna sit up here and tell me? And the people in the comments was agreeing with the Menendez brothers, calling Ryan Murphy all kinds of vile names. But we'll get into that. But in the documentary that's going to be coming, he says everyone will ask why we killed our parents. Maybe now people can understand the truth. What happened that night is very well known, but so much hasn't been told. We were not the ones who told the story about our lives. Two kids don't commit this crime for money. And I feel like when you watch the show, it is implied like, oh, well, when they found out that because, one of the brothers, Lyle and Eric, they were both running around robbing the neighborhood, stole $100 million. The father, Jose, had to pay everybody back when they got caught. He had Lyle work for him, for his company, but he never showed up, so he fired him. Eric was basically, he was going on trying to become a professional tennis player. So it seemed like he was on the up and up, but Lyle was the one that was being a mess. He was the one that was getting in stuff. And then, of course, there was the stories of Lyle was being SA'd by his father. And then Eric also was ending up being SA'd by his father, which there is one episode, I believe is episode 5, where they dive deep into Eric in jail talking to his attorney about the graphic details of being abused by his father. Episode 6, we get a little more backstory in regards of the mother and how the mother, Kitty, and the father, Jose, met, and then the kids and all the other stuff, and then the incestuous stuff that is brought up, meaning that Lyle and Eric had a relationship with each other, which some people are calling fabricated, including one of the trial experts. So the latest installment of the series basically saying they're following backlash for the portrayal of Eric and Lyle Menendez in Netflix's series, The Lyle and Eric Menendez Story. An expert of the case is speaking out. In an interview with the Hollywood Reporter following the September 19th release of the series, Robert Rand set the record straight on the differences between the show and reality. As the author of 2018's The Menendez Brothers book, Rand said there were several falsities in the show. Say, I don't believe that Eric and Lyle Menendez were ever lovers. I think that is a fantasy that was in the mind of Dominic Dunn, the reporter in the series portrayed by Nathan Lane. Well, Dominic Dunn was giving me full-on Queen. Or maybe was that the way that Nathan Lane was playing the part? And yeah, I'm not saying it just because Nathan is openly gay in real life. I have to look into Wait, Dominic Dunn. Well, didn't his daughter get unalive? Isn't his daughter was in the Poltergeist movie, Dominique, and she was unalive by her boyfriend? So he also said that rumors were going around the trial that maybe there was some sort of weird relationship between Eric and Lau themselves. But I believe the only physical contact they might have had is what Lau testified, that when Lau was 8, he took Eric out in the woods and played with him with a toothbrush, which is what their father had done with him. He continued, I certainly wouldn't call that a sexual relationship of any sort. It's a response to trauma. Well, sir, I don't think you should speak on something that has to do with abuse because here's the thing. Um, hurt people. People abuse others. And do I absolutely believe that there could have been some situation regarding, some sort of abuse? Possibly. Now, when one of the brothers is abused, and then, as a sibling, you probably would go around and hurt them in some sort of way. And when you're saying that they went in the woods and was doing some stuff, I do believe that there's some things that may have transpired. Wouldn't call it necessarily a relationship, but there's some sort of abuse and molestation, that sort of thing there. Because it's like when that is a learned behavior. When your father is doing it, it's like, oh, I'm showing love to you. This is how I show love to you when I'm abusing you in other ways, not realizing that that is a form of abuse. So now you're passing that down to your sibling because you're working out, as the guy said, some sort of trauma. So do I believe there was some sort of incestuous thing that was going on? Yes, I do believe that may have partaken. But the way that it's shot on the show, where it feels very much like watching pornography, where in the gay community, let's talk about it, there is this incest type of vibe that goes on in a lot of the sexcapades in our community, where that has been brought up. When we talked about um Austin Wolf, the fact that this daddy son type thing where older man under this barely legal type of you know pleasure that a lot of our community gets out of it, that's a thing. Also, this incest situation, like I've even seen videos of real life twins partaking in sleeping with each other, and they make a whole ton of money doing that and bringing other people into it, other guys, I think other girls as well, but they be sleeping with each other. This is a thing, and we should talk about it. But let's not brush it all up on the thing. So who knows if maybe they had some type of trauma similar to the Menendez brother, because I don't understand how you a sibling and y'all doing that, whether you identical twins or fraternal or just regular brothers or sisters. But there's a market for it, apparently. So I do believe that there was some sort of thing. I'm not saying that they were just like y'all trying to paint them like they were lovers, but there's two sequences that, like, in episode 2, you basically see Eric and Lyle kissing, which kind of did make me uncomfortable, but I get it. Incest will make anybody uncomfortable. And so, but it also had me wondering, like, as I'm going there and I'm having to go on this journey, I'm like, is this a thing that possibly happened? In episode 6, their mother found them showering together. And in the trial, yes, the brothers did say that they never had a sexual relationship with one another, but you also have to realize this was the 90s. Just like when I called out the writing, it's like, okay, so when Eric was in jail and he met that black guy that he was smitten by, and I believe the implication was there based off of what we saw, that they had a relationship. It could have been a protection thing, but also he was smitten by him, especially that shower scene that they had where they sitting there exposing each other and then they touching, the whole, y'all know the scene. If you haven't seen it, child, then you got to see it. I can't get too graphic. YouTube, like I said, I got to start curbing the mouth now. Look at me going by the standards. So now I got to get creative in some of the stuff I say. But anyway, so back in the day when the guy was like, "Oh yeah, it's okay, you can be gay, whatever," I'm like, "Oh, what alternate universe?" Because yes, in the '90s, sir, I was there. I was a teenager growing up in the '90s. You couldn't be openly gay. You couldn't be comfortable in your skin. Comfortable in my skin. You could not be all of that. Sorry, you cannot be cozy with who you are because it was not cool to be gay. You had to perpetuate a masculine type of vibe of yourself. I mean, we still have those issues now, but way more people are comfortable in their skin and not having to worry about what other people think in certain places versus how it was in the 90s. So with that whole, I said, you're not going to put this Gen Z narrative on this shit because that's not true. You can't sit up here and say, oh, yeah, you could be who you want to be. It's okay to be who you are. I'm like, and you older than the people that you writing about. Or is he? Because Ryan Murphy, I think, is in his 60s. I would think like the Menendez brothers probably in their 60s too, because they were teenagers in the 80s. So, um, so yeah, they had to be born like late 60s, early 70s, if I could remember. So yeah, there's that. With that. Now Eric has released a statement, so I want to get to that, then we'll get to what Ryan Murphy had to say. So, excuse me. Eric released a statement slamming the series after the premiere, which also posted on Lyle's social media, saying, I believe that we have moved beyond the lies and ruinous character portrayals of Lyle, creating a caricature of Lyle rooted in horrible and blatant lies rampant in the show. I can only believe that we were done so on purpose. It is with heavy heart to say I believe Ryan Murphy cannot be this naive and inaccurate about the facts of our lives so as to do this without bad intent. It is sad for me to know that Netflix's dishonest portrayal of the tragedies surrounding our crime have taken the painful truth several steps backward. Back through a time in an era where the prosecution built a narrative on the belief system that males would not aid and that males experience our trauma differently than women. Those awful lies have been disrupted and exposed by countless brave victims, excuse me, over the last 2 decades who have broken through their personal shame and bravely spoken out. So now Murphy shares his horrible narrative through vile and appalling character portrayals of Lila and me and disheartening slander. Is the truth not enough? Let the truth stand as the truth, he continued. How demoralizing is it to know that one man with power can undermine decades of progress and shedding light on childhood trauma? So that's what they said so far. And I have to say, you want to know something? The actors they had that portray Lyle and Eric, first of all, they can get it. The actor that plays Eric, first of all, he's openly gay. I heard that him and Kim Kardashian visited the Menendez brothers in jail. I guess he wanted to get a sense of who they were and all this other stuff. And it's cool that he did that. They said Kim Kardashian, like I said, also visited them. I don't know why, but I mean, are they the next ones that she's trying to get out of prison? But I heard they're like some sort of a rehab type situation. So then Lyle, so I guess one of the things I'm going to look at is that I'm definitely going to check out this documentary and see how accurate that is versus the movie. Because here's the thing: the show and everything is not supposed to be a documentary. They're going to fabricate or expand on things, for all sense and purposes of telling a story in a show. But the detail, it's all in the details. So if you really want to know the behind the scenes tea and stuff, I guess the only way we can look at it is let's look at the documentary and see what happens. So I'm definitely looking forward to catching that when that comes out. So now let's get into the next thing. So that's the shower scene between the brothers, chair. Okay, so Cooper Koch is his name, actually, the actor who plays Eric Menendez. So now Ryan Murphy is defending his new show, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, amid criticism for one of the brothers at the center of the infamous murder case. So he says, well, I'm gonna read I want to show y'all the clip, but I'm gonna read it just in case, because if I show y'all the clip and it's from ET, and they decide to be like, oh no, you're saying some stuff in here and it's our property and you got to cut it out, then I'm gonna let them do that. But just in case, I'm gonna just read it and I'm gonna show y'all the clip. So this is like me protecting myself double time. He said, I think it's interesting that he issued a statement without having seen the show. This is what Murphy said in the interview with E.T. in response of Eric's criticism. It's really, really hard, if it's your life, to see your life up on screen. The thing that I find interesting that he doesn't mention in his quote is that if you watch the show, I would say 60 to 65% of our show in the scripts and in the film form center around the abuse and what they claim happened to them. And we do it very carefully and we give them their day in court and they talk openly about it. Well, some people feel that Ryan Murphy made it seem like the boys was basically out here where they wanted to get their hooks into the parents' fortune. So that's basically what all they cared about. And yeah, because I wanted to see if they basically said how much money the father was worth. But the father worked at a record label. And based off of some of the TV hearing, and I keep forgetting to bring this up. Look, there's members of Menudo that allege that they were abused, that the father went and did to them what he did to his sons. So this was a story that came out, and this was in the Menudo documentary that this came out that I had seen. If y'all haven't seen that, definitely check that out. But anyway, let's get to this clip that I found over on the TikTok, and then we'll come back and talk. Please hold.
The Menendez brothers have been disappointed in the representation. What do you say to their backlash?
I have many things to say about that. I think it's interesting that he's issued a statement without having seen the show. It's really, really hard if it's your life to see your life up on screen. The thing that I find interesting that he doesn't mention in his quote is if you watch the show, I would say 60 to 65% of our show in the scripts and in the film form center around the abuse and what they claim happened to them. And we do it very carefully and we give them their day in court and they talk openly about it. In this age where people can really talk about sexual abuse, talking about it and writing about all points of view can be controversial. It's a Rashomon kind of approach where there were 4 people involved in that. 2 of them are dead. What about the parents? We had an obligation as storytellers to also try and put in their perspective based on our research, which we did.
People have been outspoken about this romantic relationship between the brothers.
If you watch the show, if what the show is doing is presenting the points of view and theories from so many people who were involved in the case. Dominic Dunn wrote several articles talking about that theory. We are presenting his point of view just as we present Leslie Abramson's point of view. And we had an obligation to show all of that, and we did.
The Menendez brothers.
Okay, so there's that. And he's going that we did our research. We read all these different books. We, pulled whatever we could pull from the situation, and that's what it is. But look, the people was out here getting mad at Ryan Murphy. And let's get to them comments. And I saw that on the TikTok. So one person said, the disrespect is wild. Another person said the lack of empathy. Another person said it's insane how confidently he speaks about writing a show about someone's life that he's never met. That shouldn't even be legal. Another person said all Ryan Murphy did was make the brothers come off as liars and manipulators. I'm appalled. Another person said Ryan Murphy is a clown. Look what happened to Evan Peters. Evan had a mental breakdown after Dahmer. Niecy Nash, I believe, is the only one who made sure his mental health was okay. Well, yeah, that's a lot. We're trying to play a serial killer that was out here eating people. Like, how do you come back from that? And I've always liked Evan Peters. Then another person said this goes beyond controversial. It was distasteful and without question, extremely biased. Shame on him. And, it goes on. Everybody's like, the audacity of it all. What they claim happened to him is absolutely crazy, and having the audacity to say, what about the parents? Yeah, that was the part that really grinded my gear. But what about the parents? First of all, the mother was a damn drunk, mentally abusive to her children. I'm talking about, well, I could have been a movie star, but I had to deal with y'all. Well, bitch, ain't nobody take you spread your legs and have them fucking kids. So it's their fault that they were born? Maybe you need to blame yourself and your husband for you laying it low and spreading it wide and pushing out 2 boys. And now you feeling like your career is a wash. And then you mad because you didn't know what you could do with yourself because you had your husband out here, Jose, cheating, having multiple girlfriends, molesting your children. You look the other way and you basically just downing your sorrows by self-medicating with booze and drugs, prescription drugs, walking around like a damn zombie. But it's your kid's fault? And it's like, yeah, to stop the trauma and that stuff at all, he took them both out. The mother probably would have just went along, she was going along to get along, which I guess is what you did in them times. When it's like when you get married because you need the man to take care of you. That's not something you want to do, but people got to remember what the times were. And then, yeah, because this man has money, power, and influence, the kids aren't allowed to feel how they feel. So it's, oh, you wanted the father for their money. This is the same typical thing that we get into when it comes to people with money, where it's like, yeah, they can get away with whatever because money and power. We look the other way in those situations. We don't protect those who don't have the ability to speak out and things. The same thing with some of my Diddy. So then we talk about many of celebrities. We have money and power, how far they can get away with just doing whatever they want to people who have less than them, who aren't in a position of privilege like they are, and have the power and whatever to go against, David, to go against Goliath, a titan who works in a lot of those places with that money, power, and influence. So these are the things that people need to look into. So do I believe all the things? I believe that these kids was abused. I don't think that it was all for the money or them getting out of the will. I mean, it looked bad afterwards because they went a little ham with spending up all the money and stuff. And like fools, they went to that damn attorney and was spilling tea on tape. They could have got away with it. Not that I'm encouraging getting away with murder, but they could have got away with it if they didn't go out and, start spilling tea to that shiesty damn therapist. And then that crazy broad who he was sleeping with was his damn client, one of his patients. He's sleeping with her, and he's sitting there like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna leave my wife," and she believing it, and being a scorned woman, she runs to the police and be like, "Well, the doctor has evidence that the boys is, confessing," which of course started that whole battle of patient-client privilege, or doctor-patient privilege, whatever you want to call it, confidentiality. So, look, this ain't the first time that people have gone in on Ryan Murphy, where he basically goes around and starts bastardizing people's, things that has to do with real life characters. That's like what I said about American Horror Story. What was it, 1984? I hated the fact that when he brings real life characters into stuff, Richard Ramirez, he brought him up in that story and started bringing him in. I'm like, what the hell has Richard Ramirez got to do with this Friday the 13th ripoff you trying to create? Or a lot of times when he tries to bring fantasy into reality and all this other, it's like, no, I'm not just suspending my disbelief with this foolishness. And now I'm hearing with this grotesquerie show, now he talking about he want to incorporate Travis Kelce in more of his shows. Well, if Travis Kelce can't act, like if he acts more like Kim Kardashian versus Niecy Nash, no, we don't want him in no damn movies or no TV shows. But here he go with his stunt casting and always pulling stunts. So should we start looking at Ryan Murphy like we look at Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels, another damn powerful stunt queen out here making a bunch of stupid stuff, and we just sit and eat it up? But I guess it's more important to get us out here just talking, right? So I know it's a lot, but I had to break it on down. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Are y'all watching this series, and what are your overall thoughts on it? Also, are y'all going to be checking out this Menendez brothers documentary that's going to appear on Netflix October 7th? I think I'll check out the Menendez brothers documentary. I definitely want to check that out and see if we learn anything different than the salaciousness we got from this 9-part series. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.